I have a whole ton of movies here to review, and I'm definitely not doing them all tonight. I thought I was going to be able to, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So let's get to the 30 Days of Night, and also 30 Days of Night, Dark Days, which hopefully I'll do next, but I don't know, it's getting kind of late. So now this is based on the comic book, and this was requested anonymously. The same guy who keeps sending me money in the mail through letters. So, David, thank you. And all right, so we have a movie here that I have wanted to review on the channel many times, and I've actually started this movie many times, and I didn't finish it a few of those times because this is a film I've never been particularly a big fan of. And this time I was actually excited. I was like, fuck it. I am sitting through this thing. I am watching it from beginning to end. You know what my problem with this movie is? And it's funny because I don't even dislike the guy. But Josh Hartnett, I just don't buy it. I really feel like that's one of my issues, one of my main issues. Like, okay, for instance, the other guy who plays the cop in this, who plays Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, in the CW Arrow show. He also plays Azog the Defiler in The Hobbit, but, he's mocap in that, so you don't really see him. But, okay, anyway, this guy, Manu, however he says it, I don't know what his name is. If it was him, if they flipped the roles, I think I would like this movie better. I can buy he's the tough guy. I can buy that he's the sheriff that they appointed to this really tough little town. I mean, there's a line in this. It's like, why do we, essentially like, this is why we live here. Because no one else can. Like, these are tough sons of bitches, man. These are people who live out in fucking sub-zero temperatures, and they have a time where there is 30 days of pure night, which is just like the perfect setting for a vampire flick. I mean, it really is. Also, I don't really like the look of the vampires. I don't like the teeth, and I don't like the slanted eyes. It almost makes me feel like I'm watching what was that movie that everybody hates? Truth or Dare, or where the eyes, like the face is all distorted. It almost feels like that. And it's funny because everyone hates that, but loves this. And a big reason why a lot of people hate that movie is because of the face distortion. But I don't like the face distortion. Now, that being said, I have seen artwork from the comic book, and the comic book looks like that. So they do a very good job of representing what the comic is, to my memory anyways. Anybody who's like a big fan of the comics is probably sitting there like, it doesn't look anything like it. Maybe it looks exactly like, I don't know, but that's my memory of it anyway. So I can't really fault it for that, for trying to make it look true to the comic, but it just doesn't work for me. There's something about their faces. That kid, they always post a meme. I don't know if he's mentally handicapped or if he's just making a really silly face, but that kid who has the really sucked in face, and he's like a young kid. I think he was wearing a striped shirt or something. You know what kid I'm talking about? It's kind of what their faces look like to me. Like someone who's sucking their face and they don't look menacing to me. They look silly. That's a problem. And Josh Hartnett, who I like. I've liked Josh Hartnett in a few things. So it's not like I dislike the guy. But a tough guy that runs an Alaskan town with a bunch of tough hunters and stuff, and they all look at him when he comes into the bar, they're like, oh, sheriff's gonna take care of it. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I don't buy him as a tough guy at all. Now, I've said this a million times on the channel. The toughest guys you've ever known in your life could be the wimpiest looking fucking dudes on earth. Okay, I'm not going to say it isn't. But for a film, they've got to sell me that he's a tough guy, and this just does nothing to prove it to me throughout the length of the film. So that's my issue with the film, and yeah. So there you go. I think we'll just get that stuff out of the way real quick. Like to see Mark Boone in here. He always plays the exact same character and has the exact same haircut and beard in every fucking thing I've ever seen him in. Oh, exactly the same everything. Sometimes he'll play a cop and sometimes he'll play, but you know what I mean. He's the same character. Like he acts exactly the same. He has the same laugh. He has the same everything. He never tries to change anything up, but I always like him. So I don't have an issue with it, but I do kind of find it funny. When he was in Sons of Anarchy, I'm like, oh, they just cast him as Mark Boone Jr. as always. Ben Foster is an actor that can just put on the creep factor all day. The guy is just unsettling to watch. He's just such a weirdo. Like, I can't even imagine what Ben Foster is like in real life. He just feels like he'd be a fucking weirdo to me, but I don't know. Man, the dogs at the beginning of this movie, or towards the beginning of this movie, are mangled. Holy shit. Wow. We got the breakup here between Eben and his ex-wife, played by Melissa George. And the premise of the film is just great. I already kind of made mention of that, but yeah, it was just a premise that was being, begged to be made at some point, and here we go. And now there's a kill where these two guys and a chick, and they're like at the electrical plant or something, and they're like talking about having a three-way or something. Were they serious about that? Was that the first time they were going to do it? Was this a regular thing? Was this one of those her boyfriend, and the other one was like jokingly like, can I get in on it? The way I took that scene is like, she has fucked both of them before and they want her to fuck both of them at the same time, or maybe this is something they do randomly. Maybe that's the way they, for 30 days of night, they go fuck their brains out. Hey, no judgment here. These scenes, okay, you've always got to just accept things how they are in movies, right? Like, this is like this because the ambiance, because the atmosphere, because the whatever it creates in a film. This is creepy, this is spooky, this is whatever. But anytime these kinds of things happen in movies, I always kind of have to sit there and go, okay, why would they do that? So, like, one of the characters has his wife pulled under a house, and he's there, and they just keep pulling her under different houses as he's chasing him around. And it's like, why not just kill both of them? Like, it's effective for a movie. It's an effective scene. It's cool to see her pulled. It's heartbreaking to watch him chase after his wife, the woman that he loves, and he's screaming out for her and all that. Totally get it. From a theatrical standpoint, I totally get it. It makes sense. But when I start to watch it as a realistic moment, even though it's in a vampire movie and there's nothing realistic about that, but you know what I'm saying. If that was to happen for some reason, why wouldn't they just kill? Why wouldn't they just come out and grab him too? It's not like he can defend. It's not like there's sun out and they have to pull her under there or anything. It's just that stuff that you go, okay, it's a movie. It doesn't matter. And they end up getting him anyway, but maybe they like toying on him. Maybe they get off on the sadness. They know they can't go anywhere. I feel like they attack too fast. I feel like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, right out the gate. They kill like half the town in one night. And it's just like, you guys are overeating. You guys are blowing this way out of proportion. You sabotage the cars, everything. Nobody can get out of town. So why not just, every one of you get a person each. There's only 10 of you or less. Okay, grab a person each, suck them dry, let the other ones. Now, another thing I don't understand in this movie is why the vampires, and it does not seem like it's ever established that there's a vampire lore, like they have to be invited into a house or something. That never happens, so that isn't applicable here. They never, I mean, this is 30 fucking days, a full month, guys. This isn't 30 hours of night. This is 30 days of night. These guys are hanging up in an attic, like some fucking Jews hiding during the Holocaust or something. Like, that's the way this is portrayed. He's got some Anne Frank situation where they're up in that attic and they're being quiet and this and that for days on end with a guy with the dementia and all this stuff. And it's like, the town is this big. How long would it take them? And it's 30 days of night, so they got all day and night. They got 24/7 to check the houses. And then it's not like they're keeping them so that they can eat them later. They use bait to lure people out and shit. Like, they want to kill them right then and there. So why aren't they searching the houses? There's nothing preventing them from going in the houses. It's all in the little town square. So there's only like 30 houses. They didn't go in the attic? Did they not know attics existed? See, there's just a lot of issues with this movie for me that just don't work. The look of the vampires, the main lead being bad guy, badass, this non-searching of the house, how long. Oh, and another issue with this movie, it's going to sound like I'm just shitting on this movie. This is actually the most I've ever liked it. I actually quite enjoyed it. But another huge issue I have with this film is the portrayal of time passage. Like, that is really, really poorly done here. Like, it's like day 7, then day 17, then day 27 or something. It like jumps up by intervals of 10 on the 7 mark every time, I think. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But whatever it is, it doesn't feel like any time has passed. It feels like the same night, which I think maybe is its intention. Like, it all feels like one long night, like a night that never ends, which is what it is, but it doesn't feel like time is passing. It doesn't feel like a week has passed, even if it's all night. I've been trying to stave off that fucking yawn this entire time. But yeah, I don't know. The time in this film doesn't feel accurate. Like, it never feels like any time has passed. All right, I said that like 6 times. How many more times am I going to say it? And let's see. Adding insult to injury, being stuck in this with your ex, which they don't really ever get into why they separated. The only thing that I got from it was that he didn't want kids. Was that what it was? Or she didn't? He didn't, I think. That's it? Because somebody asks her, like, oh, it's Slade. It's a Deathstroke. He's like, you can stay at our house, but you're going to explain to us, like, why you guys can't work out. And she's like, I don't think you have enough time for that or something. He didn't want to have kids. I did. Seemed like a pretty quick story to me. I mean, they never really explore it all that much. I like how they get into a car and they front flip the thing. Like, all the vampires get outside and they just like flip it over front ways. Those are strong motherfuckers. Blood on snow is always a good visual. Love it. So you get a lot of it in here. I mean, Eben, even though I don't buy him as the tough guy, I do like the character. I think he's pretty badass. That even though he knows that's bait, that girl, he still goes for her anyway. Like, I want to help her. I'm really, I'm trying to be the hero here, but they're not really letting me. I like that the first time they cut off a head in this, it takes 4 swings to take that head off. That's very realistic. And then the kid comes, and they have to cut the head off of a kid, which is pretty badass, and it only takes 2 swings. So I thought that was kind of funny. It's like 4 swings for an adult head and 2 swings for a vamp kid. And I already talked about all that. They have UV light in this movie, which they barely utilize. I feel like that could have been used way more. I mean, realistically, if you had it, you'd use it, right? And I guess maybe because they didn't have the battery power, charge it, whatever it is, just I'd be using that stuff as much as I could. And I like how after he burns the girl with the UV light, he's just like, what is broken must be broken, or something like that. He's like, you have weakness, I'm getting rid of you. And she's basically like, Yeah, okay. Now, it's established in this one, essentially, that they can't heal because he calls her broken, so it doesn't look like they're going to heal. Although in the sequel, that's kind of retconned, I suppose, but does that match the comic? Because the sequel is called Dark Days. And then the sequel to that is like Return to Barston? What's his title called? Whatever it is. Yeah, we'll get to the sequel. I probably won't get to it tonight. I'm already yawning, so fuck it. Oh well. Then Mark Boone goes out there and fucks him up with a tractor. It's almost like a helicopter scene where like the blade's killing him, except for he's got that like big chainsaw on the front of it and he's just smashing him. And then I like that he tries to blow himself up and isn't successful because he doesn't want to be eaten by them. Except for then it's kind of a missed opportunity because all the dude does is just kind of stomp on his head and crush his head, like caves his head in right here and almost, kind of instantly kills him, which I think is kind of defeating to the purpose of keeping him alive because he didn't want to be eaten, which was the perfect opportunity for him to be ripped apart and eaten alive, which is really ironic because he blew himself up to not have that happen to him, Like, I just felt like that was a totally missed opportunity in a moment that you almost never see. Like, he goes to blow himself up and he survives it and he gets eaten anyways. That's a great moment, and it just doesn't happen here. Plus, another problem with this movie is that the villains, because they don't speak English, there's no character to them at all. They're not all that menacing because I don't like the look of them, and they're not all that menacing because I don't really, I also, it's a made-up language. So it's like, it's not anywhere near as bad as Ghost of Mars, where it's that shit, oh my God, is the worst fake language I've ever seen in a movie, and the worst presentation of it I've ever seen. This one's fine, it's just that kind of typical evil villain language. But because of that, I have zero connection to what is going on with the monsters. And it's like, okay, that's fine. Then we don't really need to focus on the monsters all that much. But they do focus on them a good amount, and I just don't get myself invested in them. And I don't really care for the lead vampire. I just don't find him all that scary. I don't find him all that menacing. So there you go. I mean, casting choices is a big part of it. I guess I have a lot of issues with the film. I still ended up liking it, especially some of the gore. There's a head chop here where the guy just gets his head chopped like one, and the head's like getting further and further. And that is fucking beautiful. One of the best decapitations I've ever seen in any film I've ever watched. It's brutal and wonderful. Absolutely. They also have that grinder, whatever the hell that thing is, from Walking Dead. I don't know what that thing is, but Jesus Christ, I would not want to work around that thing for nothing. And they start burning down the town. This is almost like the scene in The Thing, except for in reverse, it's the villain doing it. They burn the town, draw everyone out. They can't leave any witnesses because time is running out. Now, okay, another problem I have with the movie, Jesus Christ, I've said like almost no positives. So it does sound like I kind of hate this movie. This is why I don't go back and watch it much. Another issue I have with this film is Eben's, sacrifice here. So they're out there for 29 days, 23 hours, and 45 minutes before he decides, I'm going to take some vampire blood injected into my body and then go and hold them off so that my ex can get away with the kid she's with. But all he does is he runs in there and he fights the vampires for about 5 minutes, kills the lead one by punching through his head, which is awesome. Reminds me of the Collector in Tales from the Crypt Presents Demon Knight when he punches through the sheriff's head and he's like holding him and then he like rips the head off and the dude vomits. I love that movie. But yeah, I feel like that's just such a lackluster sacrifice. The fucking sun comes up literally 10 minutes later. It's like, oh, sun sets in 5 fucking minutes. The sun rises in like 5 minutes. I better sacrifice myself and go out. Those guys were going to have to run off anyways. Like, that scene could have just been written a little different, executed just a little bit differently. Like, I have to go now. Okay, we can fill in the blanks here. Like, he thought the town was burning and the buildings were going to collapse on her. We're going to kill her. They got to get the distraction long enough. But is that really what happened? It's like he goes in there and he fights the guy, which I guess distracts long enough. She still seems like she could have been under that house long enough for the sun to come up. But he doesn't know that, so he goes in even though there's only like 5 minutes left. I don't know. It just seems so silly of timing. Like, wait till the last second. There's just better ways that could have been done for me. But yeah, then they just let them all go. Like, he does that, and then he just kills the leader, and then he just kind of stands there and is just like, well, I'm just going to let them go. And then he goes up and he watches the sunrise, which we've seen in so many vampire movies at this point. And he melts in her arms, and I'm just dying in your arms tonight. That's what should have started playing. And then, yeah, he lets him burn himself, and then he lets everyone go. I don't know. The more I talk about this movie, the more I don't like it. But I did like it. I thought that the gore was cool. I thought the characters were pretty cool. I thought the setting was great. Stuff like that. Like, there's a lot going on in it that's good. I just don't like a lot of it as well for the reasons I just gave. So hopefully those were enough reasons. I will get to Dark Days soon enough. I'm sure I will have recorded it before I even post this. So I got to go. I'm fucking way too tired. So thank you for the letter and the money. I really, really do appreciate it, honestly. Thank you.